Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. Uh, it's beautiful August 1st, right? Can't believe it's August 1st. So today I wanted to talk about something personal and very true to my heart that it's really kind of surprised in my life, especially now that I'm kind of getting older. I'm almost 40, believe it or not. Um, and having kids myself and the importance of young kids and the importance of school and stuff, this was kind of just fell in my lap, and it was really intriguing, and I kind of just wanted to talk about it and get everyone's opinions on it because I'm conflicted on what to think. And this is about drag queen story hour. Obviously the title explains it all, and kind of the controversy going in, and the differences of opinion, and it's very interesting, and I kind of want to elaborate a little bit on personally why it kind of affected me. I live in Washington State. um my perspective on it, I lived in the city. Obviously, like I said, this is just my personal opinion, my views, kind of my personal life experiences may differ, but throughout the years living in the city and stuff, crime got really bad, drug use got really bad. It didn't really seem like we were getting competent leadership. There was a huge defund the police movement, so that was less law enforcement, and I felt like it was a lot of anarchy going on, and I felt really unsafe. And so when the mortgage rates, I believe it was about the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021, went to a historic low. I took that opportunity to utilize that and obtain my first home. So I did a lot of research, and I wanted to raise a family and kind of get away from the chaos a little bit and kind of live in an open area. So I found this community that was really growing, called Tahali. It's near Bonnie Lake, Washington. Very family oriented, very beautiful. A lot of families that want to have children have appeared to seem to like migrate down here. It's growing crazy. I've been here for 5 years now. Um, for the most part, I mean, if you keep to yourself, it's nice. There is drama and stuff. If you kind of go searching for it, there's a community Facebook page where a lot of people join to kind of get the news on what's going on. People are really in the loop, which I like. There's a lot of law enforcement here, which is good too. So I mean, for the most part, it's safe. And kind of how this pertains to me is I lived here for 5 years, never had any issues, always kept to myself. And there was an incident that occurred with my daughter that attended a elementary school in Donald Eisman, which is a couple miles from my house, uh, where the school, apparently, from my understanding, uh, rents out their property in the summer to agencies for whatever reason. From my understanding, uh, let me correct myself. It wasn't Dalton Eisman. It was the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District. They kind of controlled like the schools around the area and stuff. And getting back to my point, they rented out to an agency called Hope Development Practices, um, which is a counseling service for a range of needs, including child, couple, and family. And what I found odd that struck me is that the advertisement was a pride event being held at the elementary school grounds. And so it kind of concerned me when I looked into it because it had a lot of, you know, looking at this event schedule, um, it had community art, which, whatever, that's not a big deal. But then I started having little concerns: raffle and sponsor event, Trasosaurus Rex event, a photo booth. That kind of was some red flags. Proudest Pooch fashion show. I mean, that's whatever. Then kind of the drag story time. I was kind of getting red flags on that. Like, is this something really appropriate for kids? Going down a drag show, a 90-minute drag show, a bunch of people men dressed as women, in selective suggestive clothing, and there was an auction. So a lot of it, and then going down was a toddler's tot parade, which was kind of concerning as well. So like I said, some stuff I didn't have an issue with, but the drag show stuff was kind of, especially kids that are in elementary school and don't have a fully developed frontal cortex. Found it very odd, especially in this community with a lot of children, that this was being held. Like I said, it was in the summer. It wasn't forced. And so parents, didn't have to go bring their kids. It was voluntarily. My issue was that I just couldn't get past the point is why was it being held on a school ground? Why couldn't it be held in a park or a library, somewhere public, And I understand, there's the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, freedom of expression and stuff. But kind of another part of me was like, well, what about the children? What about their rights? What are they, what are their rights? Especially with grooming and stuff going on, and child trafficking has been a huge thing. It really concerned me as a parent, and I think I had every right to be concerned. So I went on this Holly community site and I posted my opinion on what people thought, and to my surprise, I got a lot of hate and violent. Well, I wouldn't say violent, but I got a lot of hate pushback. Just asking a simple question, what people thought about this. Me personally, I was very conflicted with it. But a lot of people, especially, it seemed like a lot of women I noticed that were posting. And like I said, my observation, were very defensive. Me just asking a simple question like this, I was getting labeled as basically a Nazi, Trump supporter, right-wing narcissist, misogynist. I mean, you name it. Religious nut, even though I'm not religious at all. I'm very liberal for the most part, but it was very eye-opening how I realized this was kind of a cult-like attack on Facebook. Like I said, this doesn't represent all of the community. I would hope not, but it seemed like there wasn't a lot of pushback on it, which concerned me. So I don't know if the whole community in Tali agrees with this, and anyone that doesn't agree is an enemy and just a bad person, or that a lot of people just don't want to get involved. I'm more inclined that people just want to be left alone, don't want to get involved, which I get that. I didn't want to get involved. It's stressful. You're starting, it's very uncomfortable when you have to ask these questions, but I really wanted to ask these questions as a parent because I was concerned. Why is a grown man, in a women's outfit doing this stuff in an elementary school? Like, why don't they do this in high schools? Why don't they do this in middle schools? Why does it have to be strictly in elementary school? Especially the youth and stuff, how fragile they are in learning and stuff. And I got a lot of arguments where it's like, well, we need to be diverse, we need to be accepting. And it's like, yeah, I understand that. But my big thing was boundaries, Boundaries was a big thing. Was something like this appropriate, right? And I don't have any issues. Like I said, do what you want, dress as you want. I have tons of gay friends. I have no qualm with anyone that's transgender or drag queen, or that's gay at all. I just feel like there should be boundaries. There should be a time and a place for this. And I was very conflicted if this was appropriate time and place. And there were valid points that it was in the summer and that it was voluntary. And I understood that, and that made sense to some degree. And like I said, I was conflicted that the whole premise was that it was on school grounds and that it was kind of like an exploitation per se, and kind of digging a little bit more it's like, why choose this community where we never had anything like this? We have tons of young kids, and Not to mention, is there any statistics that we need something like this? Is there any research? Is there any evidence-based practices that you can give to the community? And there was just nothing, like, why would we need something like this? Like, why do kids need this, I mean, if we had tons of kids that needed something like this, that suffered from, identity disorders or were bullying or stuff like this, maybe we could talk about that, but there just wasn't any research. So that kind of concerned me as well. So I looked a little bit more into this hope development practice. They're located in Puyallup. 3 Google reviews, so that was kind of weird. Went to the website and is very, very pro, LGBT, TQ plus, which is fine. Whatever. Don't got a problem with that. And they may have changed it, actually, which is interesting. Because when I was on this website before, something that I was concerned about was that they had a lot of advertisements that were correlating to kind of like young drag queen dancing and other agencies that weren't related to this firm, this hope development practice, which kind of was a red flag and made me kind of like, think like, well, is this like kind of a gateway where they get these kids, they kind of indoctrinate them, then, try to get them in like these types of other programs that they got going on, like young kid drag queen shows and dancing and stuff. I don't know. I had a lot of concerns. There were just a lot of red flags. And just for asking these questions, I got a lot of heat for it. And I just didn't, the big thing is I don't feel like we should be demonized for asking questions, especially when it relates to our kids. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it makes you a hateful person for asking questions and trying to set boundaries. And I think that's where we kind of have a black and white type of thinking. So I think they changed it. There was actually something very weird, and maybe they got some pushback for it, where they had links to like other organizations. This seems a little bit more professional, so I'm glad they fixed it. Where it was some very weird, like other agencies that they had connections with. So I think they might have taken it off. Like I said, I don't have a problem with this, right? I don't have a problem with this type of stuff and helping people and stuff. My question is I'm conflicted with it being out on the school ground. Okay, that's the whole concept and boundaries. So I don't want people viewing this video to kind of go off grid, because a lot of people do that. They go off grid and they start saying like, well, you must not like gay people, you must have this issue or Trump support or whatever. And that's not the case at all. I'm just asking questions, right? I care about my child's safety, right? My child's safety comes first. So I have every right as a concerned parent to ask these questions. Okay. And I think every other parent should be encouraged to ask questions too. And I was very concerned with our community wasn't asking these questions. And I think it was because of fear. And that's not really healthy, especially in a new community. I honestly think a lot of people were scared to be outspoken, or a lot of people wanted to conform, is what I noticed. But it's a beautiful area. And kind of, this is Donald Eisman. And like I said, it's a nice school, a nice elementary school. I love it. The teachers are great. I have no qualms with this. I would advise any other parent to take their kids here. They are great. Okay. So I want to throw that out there. Kudos to the teachers. You're amazing. I have so much respect for the teachers here, and the kids, and everyone is just very happy. Right. When I kind of when I did email the school to kind of get more clarification, I asked more about like, well, how's this whole process go when you rent out in the summer to agencies? Like, do you vet them? Do you research them? Do you do background checks? I'm just kind of concerned. And the response was that, well, their initial response, they kind of retracted a little bit. They said they didn't really do much research. They just had to meet some type of criteria, which wasn't really explained. But to meet that criteria, wouldn't you have to research the business, to make sure it was aligned to your values and stuff? So it was kind of conflicting. It was like a back and forth type of thing. It didn't make any sense. So I wasn't really getting my questions answered. And they said it was on the parking lot, right? So it said like around this area down here. And when the event actually happened, it was actually not on the parking lot. It was behind the school. It was like in the school grounds behind the school. And I even think they had access inside the school. So they weren't being truthful about that either. Okay. And that was kind of a little concerning. And like I said, I want to reiterate, because I don't want people to labeling is a huge thing. It's just easy to say like, well, you must hate people, and that's not it. Okay. So I want to make that clear, because I don't need people to virtue signal or somehow make them validate themselves, because it's so easy to say like, well, you just hate this person and I'm right. And then a bunch of other people just swarm me and like, yep, you hate this person. It's just such a weak type of conformity. Critical thinking is really important. I think I encourage a lot of other people to start asking these questions. It's a liberal trait to ask questions. My God. I mean, being liberal is questioning things. And I think we've lost that a lot, especially if this new generation is questioning. We've gone to this kind of conformity, Marxist, socialist ideology thinking, and it's very scary. I mean, socialism and communism, they're kind of hand in hand. You got a group of people that control everyone, and then you got one person that controls everyone. So it's kind of the same concept. It doesn't end well. Like I said, this is hope. I'm going to take this off. And I kind of watched some videos. Like I said, I was kind of this is a concerned dad in Texas that went to a school board meeting. And like I said, Texas, I'm sure, is a totally different state. Washington's more very liberal, if you want to say, or democratic. Texas, I'm sure, is a little bit, I mean, they're kind of in the middle, but they're kind of going more middle ground right now than conservative. But I'll let this play and kind of get some different perspectives.
LCISD board, thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Justin Parker. I come to you as a concerned father of 2 elementary age students currently attending an LCISD school. It's been brought to my attention that there's a teacher at the middle school and junior high school level that is currently moonlighting and openly displaying himself as a crossdresser. This teacher I'm referring to is Sean Saunders, known as Jacqueline Dior, when dressed as a woman, currently teaching at Wardheimer in Briscoe. As you can see in the pictures that I brought, that I've obtained from his Instagram account, which is public and available for anyone to see, including children in his class.
I'm just going to pause right there. I mean, like, just perception-wise, perception's reality. I learned that in the military. When you see that, like, is that really, really? Like, when you think of your daughter, do you feel comfortable with someone being around like that? I mean, maybe some people are okay, maybe some people aren't. I don't know. And I don't think it's bad to ask these questions and to also kind of set boundaries. We need to kind of talk about this stuff.
A few of these pictures on his Instagram and using inappropriate hashtags and inappropriate sexual hashtags. Some of these captions of these pictures are, sometimes I get to step out as a boy to perform. It's a fantasy tonight, dressed as a queen. You'll hit the right note with me. I found all the hotties while standing next to men dressed in nothing but a pair of underwear. Spaghetti and meatballs is on the menu, wearing a necklace in the shape of what I can assume is a reference to male genitalia. Just a light shopping, posing next to 2 pictures of men in underwear. Do I make you horny, baby? Dressed as a woman. Category is holiday sugar ball, peppermint for your breath, while wearing women's clothes covered in peppermint candy. Letting the girls hang out, referring to his breasts. Smart schoolgirl fantasy, dressed as a female school student. I hope to see you tonight, dressed as a woman cartoon character from a children's show. Serving gay Jafar for Halloween, dressed as a female version of a male cartoon character from a children's movie. My hips are here, now I have tits and ass while wearing women's undergarments. Some of my favorites from the shoot, which with his shirt unbuttoned in provocative poses. According to the Texas Administrative Code of Ethics, Title 19, Part 7, Chapter 247.
Anyways, I'm not going to go through the whole full video. I mean, obviously, he's a concerned father. He did his vetting. He did his research to kind of like look more into the background of the individual. And he found out this stuff, right? It's not really I mean, yeah, it's concerning that, you know, cross-dresser being engaged with kids. But then when you like look in his personal life, this person's personal life, it's very sexual. I mean, that's kind of eye-opening. You know, do you really feel comfortable someone like that being involved in, you know, educating and being around your kids? I don't think that's a bad thing to ask, and I don't think asking to set boundaries is a bad thing either, right? So I understand from this father's view. I was kind of in the same boat, right? I'm sure if I did this in Washington State, I'd probably hang on the cross. I would be labeled a horrible, hateful person. It's pretty much I was basically out when I just asked a few simple questions. So kind of some other videos. Like I said, these are more. These aren't kind of pro; they're kind of against. This is like Candace Owens, and Candace Owens, she's kind of weird too. If you know anything about her, she was kind of an podcast influencer. Little kooky now. She was huge leftist. Then switched over to the kind of right mentality. Very wishy-washy. She's smart, but she's kind of weird too at times. Right now, she's dealing some with. She's got a lawsuit with the president, or I think it's president, prime minister. I don't know if they have presidents in France. Macron and his wife, where she's pretty much saying that his wife was a man. Like I said, I don't know. I mean, a personal opinion. His wife does kind of look like a man, but I mean, anyways, that's another story. But she's going full blown, like, yep, she's a man. We're going to court. We're going to settle this. And Macron's like suing for, what's that word? Deframing, or I don't know what that word is, but you can get in trouble for it. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But anyways, all of this play.
Why does a drag queen want access to a child? Can anybody answer that big question? Okay, you're a man and you like to dress up as a woman and go to nightclubs. Mm-hmm. Okay, flying your free flag high. Now you're demanding access to read books to children. Mm. Does that not just does it pass the sniff test, guys?
Yeah.
No? And then you have
would want to do a sniff test with this one.
You know what's really interesting. We're here. We're queer. We're coming for your children. You've heard this before.
Yes.
Let's all say it in unison, guys. Right?
You know, everybody here has freaking gay friends. I have gay family members. When it comes to like the Pride Month and everything, it's like, could you talk about the sexuality of it? It's like, when is it ever cool? Name another month or a day or a moment where it's cool for any group to walk outside butt naked, G-string. And I get that there's like people are bringing their kids, which I think they should, go to jail.
So anyways, that's kind of a viewpoint. And I guess kind of with that is like, like why do they want to be involved in kids so much? It's kind of weird. Like their full focal point, it's not middle school, it's not high school, it's elementary school kids. So that's one question you got to ask too. And they can't really ask that. It's like, why? And we're like, well, we want to share diversity. It's like, I mean, do kids really need that? Kids, really? Or kids, you remember when you were a kid? That was like the last thing maybe you had bowling, but I mean, kids don't even remember what they had for breakfast. There's so much information going in their head, so much they're learning. I mean, kids change so much, you got the tomboy where you might like ponies one day, or then you might like Transformers the next. I mean, it's just kids are growing, they're in this delicate phase in their life. And, you hear these stories about where it's basically grooming, in my opinion, where you get these parents or teachers like, yeah, you're a girl and we're going to get you the medical treatment from the state that you need and turn you into a girl. And there's even some videos where like, these kids like grow up where, they're front, they have a fully developed brain, and they realize like, shit, I want to have a family. I'm a dude that you know, that's a girl now, and I don't have the reproductive organs anymore to produce a family because I was groomed or lied my whole life of an idea that wasn't even mine. It was planted, basically. I mean, that's grooming. That's predatorial. And I don't understand why a lot of families can't understand that. Maybe it's not intentional. Maybe they, like I said, what's that word? Everything's paved in good intentions. Like usually a lot of things are paved in good intentions. What is that word? Paved. There's some paved in good intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's what I meant to say. Like I said, even with think about, I mean, a lot of people look back in history. If you read history of Nazi Germany, I mean, why did Hitler go after the youth? They were easy to mold, manipulate. And then they get more radical when they get older. You know? I mean, the youth is the key. You control the youth, you control the future. And there's just a lot of things that just are questionable and don't make sense, you know? So, I think we need more parents to really think about that. Like, yeah, it's okay to be compassionate and diverse and accepting, but we can't be complacent either. There needs to be boundaries. There needs to be critical thinking. There needs to be right and wrong. Who is this hurting more? Are we hurting a grown man with a fully developed frontal cortex who wants to dress as a woman and be around kids? Are his feelings more important than our child's? You know, whose constitutional rights are more important? And like I said, the Constitution, and I'll bring it up here in a second, the Constitution is not a suicidal pact. And I think we're living in a society where we have this, you hear it a lot, suicidal empathy. Where people are just they're just giving up everything for feelings. No logic. We can't live like that. I mean, look at Europe. They're just bringing tons of a culture of a third world country. And like I said, I don't have a problem with legal migration and controlled migration. But you just open the borders and you have an influx of people. You put them in a little corner. They're not going to assimilate to your culture. This has nothing to do with race. Your culture, they won't assimilate, and you're seeing that in UK. And they're sticking with their own. They're using their own culture that they took with them from the third world that got them in the same mess that they left their country from. I mean, it's not hard. You don't have to be smart to see this stuff. So this is something to think about. And then right here, you know, oh, not all drag queens are sexual and they all have good intentions. Well, maybe so, but that's not the point. It's even if it's one, I'm not willing to risk my kid's safety or their youth and their fragile mind to be poisoned with crap like this.
A lot of people talking about this, though. It was the show that some parents say never should have happened. The question was, who first signed off on a drag queen's performance at prom, and what exactly were they expecting? 4 Investigates now has those answers.
Yeah, recently uncovered emails show not only did school administrators know about the performance, but it was not the first time this particular drag queen performed for students at that high school. 4 Investigator Ryan Laughlin pulls back the curtain.
Well, the students who were at the prom say they were not offended, just shocked.
His dance at a Trisco Heritage Academy prom caused a controversy and raised questions.
Was this performance approved by school or district officials? That's unclear. And APS reps said they weren't at liberty to comment.
Days before.
Come on. That's my thing is, it's not really the agencies I'm mad at that kind of put on this stuff. It's the schools. It's the head honchos, the higher ups that are weaseling their way, approving stuff like this. And then my question is why? What are they benefiting from? Is it an ideology, agenda? Is it you're getting some type of payout for this? That's my question. That's kind of my tinfoil hat question. It's why are who are these higher ups approving this stuff?
For our April 24th report, APS knew this was a school-sanctioned performance. 4 Investigates dug through APS emails that reveal drag queen Dylan Payan, aka Mythica Serene, had asked to perform at prom after a student asked him to.
I told my classmates, like, yeah, absolutely, I can see what I can do. The most they can say is no, but I'll reach out and see what they say.
April 11th, Payan emailed Maria Marquez Candelaria, an activities director at Atrisco Heritage, asking to perform. 11 minutes later, at 9:41 p.m., she emailed back, writing, I would love to touch base, and the kids would love to have...
Activity director. So there you go. I mean, that's really all we need to hear. So obviously it was the directors that were involved, the higher ups. I mean, they're the main ones that we should be kind of asking these questions for. So kind of moving on. I mean, this is a drag queen. Like, some of these videos are old. This is 3 years old. You know, this is a drag queen that, I mean, like I said, there's a time and place. Like, I have no problem with drag queens. They're kind of fun, especially if you're an adult, you know, activity wise. There's a time and place. There's boundaries. No hate. It's just, you know, time and a place, man.
No idea why you want drag queens to read books to your children. I have no idea. What in the hell has a drag queen ever done to make you have so much respect for them and admire them so much? Other than put on makeup and jump on the floor and writhe around and do sexual things on stage. I have absolutely no idea why you would want that to influence your child. Would you want a stripper or a porn star to influence your child?
See, right there, that's exactly what my question was too. Like, take the drag queen out, put like a stripper or a prostitute and put them in story time. Do you really want someone like that, kind of, or a drug addict, someone that's kind of maybe in a bad time in their life? Or, I'm not saying drag queen is a bad time. Maybe they enjoy doing that. But regardless, I mean, there is some type of, we can't deny, there is some type of foundation or connection of sexuality to it. Obviously, it can be used as performance arts and stuff, and I agree with that. But my issue is that there is a connection of sexuality to it. There is a foundation. Whether you want to agree with it or not, maybe not, it's being used at that time during that specific story time, but there's a connection, you know? And then I get, you know, people argue that like to say, well, religious. I don't think religion should be involved in school either. I don't think religion, sexuality, debauchery, any type of stuff like this needs to be involved. Like, leave the kids alone. Let them learn shit. Let them learn math. Let them learn science. My God, kids are doing really bad in school. And you just want to keep throwing this crap in it when we should be focusing on getting their scores up, like teaching them shit, right now. I mean, teach them about stocks, like changing a tire. We don't teach them anything like that. Most kids don't even know how to use a damn toaster these days. It's just ridiculous. And it's honestly, in my opinion, people doing it on purpose. The more stupid people you have, the easier it is to control, easier for you to profit. I mean, these are questions you got to ask, people.
It makes no sense at all. A drag queen performs in a nightclub for adults. There is a lot of filth that goes on, a lot of sexual stuff that goes on. And backstage, there's a lot of nudity, sex, and drugs. Okay? So I don't think that this is an avenue you would want your child to explore. They could explore dressing up at home like we all did, like all gay boys did. We all dressed at home and we had a great time. We had a great time with our girlfriends, putting on makeup, trying on clothes, things like that. But to actually get them involved in drag is extremely, extremely irresponsible on your part.
That's what I agree with. Like, it's irresponsible because a parent, this isn't a kid's idea. This is a parent seeding their type of values or mindset into their child. And I think that's wrong. I mean, if a kid wants to do this on their own will when they grow up, let them. If they want to be gay, let them. I'm all for that. But I don't like when, let me rephrase that. I don't agree that we need to force ideologies or views onto our children that benefit the individual, that they'll benefit them. And I think that's irresponsible on the parents too. I think you really need to look in the mirror and think about that. So it's kind of Jordan Peterson. He talks a little bit. If you don't know about him, he's a psychology professor in Canada. Especially, he got pretty much ousted in Canada because free speech isn't a thing anymore. If you're pretty much against the narrative, they'll label you, ostracize you, and I mean, he's doing good for himself now. And like I said, these people speak out. Usually, it benefits them in the long run. But his government tried to silence him, and this guy was a respected, well-tenured professor at a very esteemed college.
It's essentially, and this is also when I started my permanent relationship with Tammy. I thought, the only time I really do things I regret is when I'm drinking.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Well,
Preach. Yeah. I mean, I don't drink much anymore, thank God, but I hate hangovers. But yeah, I agree with that.
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's a vice, man. It's like, it's not good for you. And especially not good if you're trying to aim up. Like, you couldn't do what you're doing.
No,
how old are you? You'd die at 27. Like, you would have died at 27.
That's when most people die,
exactly,
that have
and they die from vices generally,
You were telling me that last time, one of the last times that we spoke. So there's a lot of challenge to your free speech. You're saying that things you've said that
they're mean.
Right.
But they're not. It's like, you're supposed to say that there's nothing sexual about Drag Queen Story Hour. It's like, it's mean to say that. It's like, there's nothing sexual about grown men with false breasts dressing up in negligees, which are clearly sexually provocative, and reading to children. There's nothing sexual about that.
Yeah.
That's kind of my question. And when I bring that up, you get labeled as a bad, hateful person for asking these questions. And I think that's what we need to fight against, is that we are slipping from sanity and logical and critical thinking to conformity and appeasing and being validated at the sacrifice of humanity and values and morals, which I don't think in the long term is good for any society.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think I'll burn my eyes out with a sword. It's like, no, I'm afraid there's something sexual about that.
So anyways, totally agree. I'm going to skip this. It's Piers Morgan, but I really don't want to listen to him. So I kind of was asking Grok some stuff, Grok's interesting. It gave me a very very, not very neutral response, and I was like, Grok, tell me about Drag Queen History Foundation. And it kind of talks about, ancient origins, medieval and Renaissance in Europe. It's been going on for a long time. And kind of the cultural significance, artistic expression, community resistance, mainstream impact. Some of the reasons why they do it, why people want to do it for kids, promoting diversity and inclusion. That's the biggest one people like to throw out, which I like I said, hell's paved in good intentions. I think these parents may think they have good intentions for their kids, but I think in the long term, it only hurts their children. Majority of the time, that's just my opinion. Creating and self-expression, I understand that. And I'm all for that. I just don't think it's appropriate in a school ground and being around kids that don't even have a fully developed frontal cortex. I think we're more focused on, I think it's egocentrical. I think it's narcissistic, because I think we're more focused on an adult than we are on children. Building empathy and understanding. You can do this without having drag queens. Okay? You don't need to have a drag queen, a grown man in a woman outfit. Story time to build empathy and understanding. Okay? If you need that, you might need to reevaluate kind of your parenting standards or figure something out. There's a lot of other ways to build empathy and understanding without having a drag queen teach your kids. Cultural education. Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. Historically and culturally, it adds significance. It's interesting. Age appropriateness. This is the big one. A lot of people argue, is it, it's often associated with nightlife and adult entertainment. And then there's concerns whether kids can process ideas about gender identity without confusion. That's a good question. Why can't we answer that? And when you answer that, you get labeled. That's ridiculous. Parental choice. Some parents believe they should have a right to introduce. And I was like, I agree with that. But then again, it's like, if you can connect it to grooming and child abuse, that's a debatable question. And if that's the fact, I mean, as a society, we don't condone child abuse. And just because you're a parent, that doesn't give you a right to groom and pretty much abuse your child mentally, even if you aren't intentionally doing it. You know that you're willfully doing it. I mean, that's a debatable question. Like I said, these are questions. I'm not saying that's fact. It's questions. It's the stuff that we need to sit down and talk about and stop being so damn ignorant and putting ourselves on the right and the left. These are questions. If we don't get in the box, start hashing these questions out, throwing the few punches, how are we ever going to, ascend or get past, other barriers in life? Because my God, we can't even determine what a male and a female is right now. We are going so backwards. We got racism coming back. We had the 1960s civil rights movement that pretty much fixed that. And then all of a sudden, racism is coming back. Full circle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a whole different story. But, I mean, look at Cincinnati, for Christ's sake, what's going on. Like, Jesus. You don't think that's a hate crime? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Age appropriate settings. Like I said, is it age appropriate? These children 3 to 8. Like, yeah, maybe drag queen stories, just telling stories. Okay. But it's more about the, what's the true agenda of it? Like I said, I was a little bit about me. I was in law enforcement about 10 years, probation officer, parole officer. I dealt with sex offenders. One of the main tactics, a lot of sex offenders, a lot of them are super smart. They're super wealthy, and they know how to manipulate people. And the first thing, normally how these people would do it, they would build trust with friends, trust with family. They would build that trust, and once they knew they had that trust, they would start exploiting. And that's kind of where I saw this coming from. Is like, hey, you build trust with the community, get your kids involved. Like, oh yeah, we're very friendly. Like, hey, you should come bring your kid over to this tap dancing or dancing little event we got going on with kids. And there you go. And then you open a gateway. A lot of parents don't think like that. They just think like, oh, you're just being a hateful person. Like, no, I'm questioning things. You'd be surprised. There's being a probation officer, there's a lot of sick fucking people out there, man. It's eye-opening. And a lot of people do not have any reality or live in an echo chamber. I cannot believe, some of your neighbors might be some of the most heinous fucking people in the world. You have no idea. So I'm not saying to live in fear, but you definitely got to definitely need to be well informed. That's my best advice. So anyways, it kind of goes on. And then I was kind of like, okay, well, all these men that want to dress as women have all these rights, right? Where is it? Legal protections. They got the First Amendment right. Freedom of speech and expression. Totally agree. Anti-discrimination laws. Totally agree with that. Public accommodation laws. I get that. Public libraries. Debatable. They're saying schools here. It's classified schools. I don't. That's debatable. That's my issue is kind of fixating and kind of zooming in on that. The schools. That's libraries, public parks. I'm fine with that. If you want to, I mean, like I said, you're the parent. If you want to take them and it's legal, fine. I personally, dissecting it more, I think maybe intentionally, unintentionally, it's a grooming tactic. I don't think all trans people or drag queens have a pedophile intention, but I just think the ones that want to, their main focal point is to have these events at schools. There's definitely, I feel like, an agenda to it. I don't think it's for the well-being of kids. I think they have an agenda. A lot of these people that run these, like the Hope therapy place, I looked a little bit on kind of the people, the therapists, and they're very outspoken. They're very, very, I wouldn't say left-leaning. I would say socialist-leaning. They hate Trump. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have to go into kind of what their views are. So then I kind of asked, well, what are children's rights? Rock said, children's rights are a set of legal, moral, and social entitlements designed to protect and promote the well-being, development, and dignity of individuals under the age of 18. Okay, so what are those? Right to life, survival, and development. Okay, so development, Article 6. So that's a good one. That's development. So is this affecting the development of our children? That's a good question. Right to education, Article 28 through 29. Is this type of stuff really educating our kids? Is it putting barriers on the education they need? Is it holding them back from the education they need? These are questions. These are the questions we need to ask. Right to protection, Article 19, 34, 36. Children must be protected from abuse, neglect, exploitation, and harm. There you go. That's another question. What is the intention of this? Is it exploitation? That's my main concern. So then it goes on. So like I said, these are questions. I'm not saying, like I said, I have no hate. I'm just questioning things. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of different opinions, I'm sure, on the comments. A lot of people calling me out as a horrible person that hates the LGBTQ HGTV crowd. I don't. I do think it's been, I'm going to call the elephant in the room for what it is. I think like any movement, it's been hijacked. We've seen this with the Black Lives Matter movement, where people that were running that movement originally had good intentions, and people went and contributed to it, and those people running it pretty much frauded out everyone else and bought mansions for themselves, and the whole movement pretty much reputation collapsed. So it was a big fraud. I think this is a fraud too. I don't think it's for the well-being. I think the integrity of it isn't I don't think there's integrity with it. That's my thing. I don't think it's authentic. I think it's for an agenda. And that's my opinion on it. I don't think there's good intentions to it. I think it's more about power and control than it is about kind of the rights and liberties of protecting certain individual groups. I think we kind of got past that, and I think it's more about power and control. It's about having people submit to an ideology and a cult. And when it gets to that point, you need to fight back. Whether it's religion, this type of movement, anything that gets radical, you need to fight back. You need to push it back. There needs to be a yin and yang. There needs to be balance. So I just wanted to, anyone listening to that, I just wanted to rant about that. I appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, I'm a new streamer. If you like my videos, definitely subscribe. And I will make some new videos in the future. And I appreciate all the support. And you all have a good day. Peace.